celebration of me obtaining a Kingsfield Darkside box, and to support the effort and brilliance that the company From Software is, I thought to create this tribute. This video will be a brief run through of all the official Kingsfield games, so let's begin. In short, Kingsfield is an old, but classic, Japanese role-playing game series developed by the genius minds of From Software. These guys are well known for their latest games, the Soul series, but also for their Armored Core franchise. In relation, the Kingsfield series is actually a prequel to Demon Souls, as it is set in the same universe, and of course Dark Souls is the spiritual successor to Demon Souls. The Kingsfield games are remembered by the dark and gritty atmosphere, along with the labyrinth-style dungeons. Being inspired by Ultimate Underworld, you can see where the similarities are. The first game hit shelves near Christmas of 1994 in Japan. It generally received positive reviews, so this was enough to grant a sequel. According to gaming forums in Japan, it really was a success, as people were fans of the style of gameplay. With this success, Western audiences wanted a slice of the bread, and banded together to create an English patch. Interestingly, this is the only known screenshot of a pre-release version of the game, which was featured in a Spanish magazine called Game Fan, issue 23. But what makes this interesting is that this image was published before the PlayStation console was publicly released. The sequel, Kingsfield 2, made its release just 7 months after the original, a year in the US and 2 years, but for the first time in Europe. In Western territories, this game was simply called Kingsfield. Again, the game received generally positive reviews and was granted another game. The third title, Kingsfield 3, and retrospectively known as in the US as Kingsfield 2, was launched a year later. Strangely enough, however, as From decided not to release this game in Europe, probably due to poor sales. Continuing the gameplay from the previous 2 games, but adding the twist that it mainly takes place above ground level, giving players an unexpected turn of events. Adding to that, it's also the largest of the trilogy content-wise, and has streamlined elements so that new players could get into the game easier. After From Software finished with Kingsfield 3, they moved on to developing other titles, and moved into the PlayStation 2 era. Titles such as the widely known Armored Core, the first Echo Knight, Eternal Ring, Evergrace, and a few more games were made within this time. However, in the year 2000, From made the remarkable move by releasing Sword of Moonlight for Windows PC. This is a toolmaker that allows users to create their very own Kingsfield adventures. It's free, it's in English, unofficially, and works on modern systems. Along with this, they even remade the very first game in the series with this toolmaker. A year later, in 2001, Kingsfield 4, The Ancient City for PlayStation 2 was released. With a clear graphical upgrade and gameplay additions thanks to the power of PlayStation 2. Again, the game was praised by review magazines, and also happens to be my personal favourite game out of the 4. Why? Because I think it improves on a lot of areas. Whilst having drawbacks, I think the positive outbalance the negatives. Improved NPC models, higher quality sound effects and music, better HUD UI, less key hunting and more focused puzzles, and much more. Not to mention, I find the plot itself to be more gripping than 1, 2 and 3. And that ends the Kingsfield series, until all the way into the future of 2007, which marks the company's 21st year of birth. With this, they celebrate it by releasing the 20th anniversary edition of Kingsfield, with the Darkside box. That's the game box I was shown to you earlier. After this final release, the nail in the coffin was put in and From Software moved on, eventually making the spiritual successor known as Demon Souls. And with that ends the history of Kingsfield. Thank you for watching.